It is poverty that makes us push harder every day. Venturing into this kind of business was not perceived to be a good one. My friends saw it like it's nothing that could work in Kenya. Risks must be involved. The hard work I put into it will make it a better one someday. As a person, is one hardworking young man. That is how I perceive myself. And as somebody puts it, it is the so-called poverty that makes us push harder every day. And one thing I know about Brian, who is myself, is that I love hard work. And that's why we are here today, because of the same. My business, of course, is Clean Roof Masters. That is a business that is majorly, or rather it deals with outdoor cleaning. And outdoor cleaning services are services that are rarely offered in our country. And coming up with this, we considered the same as something that will make us run day in, day out, because it's something that we know that cleaning is something that is next to godliness, and away from that, cleaning is something that will be required each and every day. That's why we got into this particular service, because we know day in, day out, we shall always get our income through the same. Yes, and again I will say what I do currently is purely cleaning of the roof tiles, the chimneys, the exterior chimneys. We do clean the exterior walls, we clean the gutters, and generally it's the outdoor clean that we're talking about. And that is my life today. As I was about to graduate last year, that was in 2020, unfortunately we had Corona with us. And I remember clearly, by then we were to graduate. Actually, we were to finish our classes. Thereafter, we were to graduate. But it was so unfortunate that we wouldn't proceed with our classes as planned because of the COVID-19. But now, here comes a case whereby I was in Nairobi. I didn't manage to go back home, that is in Migori. And I was so much idle as a student. Here comes a case whereby I get into the internet looking for a way to survive in Nairobi. And through the internet, actually I was in the YouTube, and I remember the so-called ads that passed through the YouTube, yeah, passed to in one of the shows that I was watching, and I was so keen. I didn't skip the ad. I was so keen into looking at whatever the ad was talking about. And that is where Clean Roof Masters came. I clearly saw the business, and it's not offered anywhere in Africa. Yes, because I did my research and I saw it offered in Europe as a continent, the European countries, that is. And I was like, it can also work here. Why? Because we've got the same facilities that those guys use in their abroad cities or whichever their homes. And I came to it, learning it day by day. I remember from the start, I was so keen into the same, and I decided to call my fellow graduates, my colleagues. By then we were still students, and I asked them. Not all of them were in Nairobi. Most of them were back at home, and I asked them about their financial status, because at that time it called for the so-called capital. We had to contribute the capital to start up with the same. And I remember they were positive about it, and moving forth, we were unable to contribute the capital, by the way, but we still had the idea, and we said one day, one time we shall make it. And I'm glad today we made it, by the way. Not so much, but we can do something out of whatever we anticipated that we could do someday in the future. Today, looking forth on Clean Roof, back then actually, I remember so well after the introduction of the business to my friends, there was not so much into it. Reason, they also saw it like it's nothing that could work in Kenya. Kenya, some of them say, hii Kenya ni ngumu bro, hii Kenya ni ngumu. But I told them we can make it just like any other business that today we see a big business, but it started from a scratch, yeah? And that's why we decided we will come up with the same, so that we'll also make a bigger one out of the same. And that is where Clean Roof started. It started in April 2020, and that is when I kicked off the operations of the same. I remember buying the machine, and we only had the machine itself. We had no pipes, but we were like, we have the machine already, yes? And I think having the machine, a journey of 1,000 miles, as we say, it has to begin with a step. And I thought we have begun with the one step that is talked about. Venturing into this kind of business was not perceived to be a good one, yes? More so, I will talk about, yes, my family. My dad, when he made the picture and saw myself into the primary education, the secondary, the fees that he paid until the university, and then you come out with the washing of roofs. The guy was so mad at me and told me, what are you thinking about, yeah? But I told him, this is a business, just like any other, and considered a serious one, or rather the hard work I put into it will make it a better one someday. One thing I knew is that I was coming as a pioneer, yes, and I know what pioneers do, yeah. Yes, I sat in a class. I'm a degree holder, and I sat in such classes, and we know whatever education does to us, it teaches us a lot, yeah. And I'm glad that education did right to me. I had the mind to think out of the box and do whatever things I would do in a better way. Coming up with this, my dad told me, no, it's not right. Yes, you could have it, but have something that goes in line with whatever you did in your university education. And I told him, yes, if it comes through, I will go with it. But for now, I really love, I've got the passion that I really need to do this particular job. Whatever is intensive to me might not be intensive to the other party. As a student, yes, because the company began when I was a finalist in the university. And as a student, I had no income generating activity that will give me the so-called capital to begin a business in a serious way or the other. The capital itself, yes, I would say it wasn't a much capital as we would say, because I know the much capital one needs to begin a very nice business is maybe the real estate, yeah? But I didn't need capital for the real estate. The capital that I needed was just to buy the machine that will, the machine that we use is a pressure washing machine, yes? And that is exactly what I needed. But now, of course, there are different sizes of machines. We have the machines coming with different prices depending on the different pressure they produce. And I went for a higher pressurized machine that will assist me do this particular job. And yes, of course, I had the hard time to maybe fetch the enough capital to purchase the machine. But I remember so well, I borrowed money from friends. Yes, and I will say friends are important people in life. Wherever they are, may God bless them for the same. That the reasons as to why Clean Roof is today. And I remember borrowing such capital, and I bought the machine. Thereafter, from that point where I bought the machine, yes, of course, I had no total required equipment to do this job, yes. But as time went by, I had the machine. I had to look for the jobs to pay off the debts and to also survive, because you might be having the machine in the house, but you are unable to survive as an individual in that particular house. So I had the machine, and I had to look for the so-called clients to help me so that I would pay off the debts. Gladly, as we went about here and there, knocking the gates. Actually, we used to do it door to door, and most of our clients are people from Karen, by the way, because that is where the roof tiles were used in the ancient times. So the Karen people, when you knock into somebody's gate in Karen, they will ask you the first question, who are you? Then we'll explain ourselves, produce our school IDs, and tell them we are students, and this is what we do, and this is how we do it. We can come and do your demonstration, so that if you feel it's nice to you guys, you will give us the job, or rather offer us the job. If it's not nice, then we'll leave, because that is exactly what we need. And these guys will tell us, come and do a demonstration for us, so that we could see whatever you guys are talking about. This is a new thing, and not all of them will always buy the idea. But now when they saw us do the same, they will tell us, yes, carry on. So from the little jobs we did here and there, that is where we collected the debts that we had and returned them back to our friends who assisted us during the hard time that we were involved in during the startup or invention of the same. As a student, I used to move within the university, telling everybody, this is what I do currently, and I've got the required machine to do the same. And I think if you given a chance of the same, we'll do it in a better way. Yes. And I remember one friend, the ex-chief security officer, Mr. Mugambi. I went to his office and told him, this is what I do, sir. And Mugambi told me, I will connect you to a friend of mine in Meru. Yes, he's a good friend of mine, and he needed his roof cleaned. Yes, but he didn't have the know-how of how to do the same. And I told him, kindly do that. And I remember a week after purchasing the machine, Mugambi called me, Mr. Mugambi, and told me, the client is so much ready, and if you guys are ready, kindly go to his home on this particular date. And we were given a date. 2 weeks after purchase of the machine, we went to Meru and we served the client. Yes, I remember the client's name so well. Yes, he's called Mr. Mboria. We went to his homestead and we did a wonderful job. He was so much happy with whatever things we did. And yes, that was Mr. Mboria who made us pay off some debts or settle some debts at the beginning. We had to make the company a legal business operating company in the country. And again, it is a company like any other that will require employees. And I remember beginning this, we began it, the three of us. Yes, today we are 5. Yes, but we began 3 of us. And I remember, these are my friends, by the way, who we are with in this particular company. And I love the spirit that they have. They are so much hardworking. They respond to the calls that we have here and there. I went ahead and did the registration of the company. Yes, it's a legal operating business in the country. Yes, and moving forth, we want to make it a bigger one, as mentioned earlier, and we need more employees. And that will be our happiness, because one thing we know, the state of unemployment or the rate of unemployment in the country seem to be so high. And we also want to employ other youth as hearts in this particular company, so that together we move forward as a youth that is so determined in whatever operations that they're called in, so that the country should have a youthful population, whereby the rates of crimes and whichever should be reduced in the same. Yes, so again, I will say the employees that we have in the company, or rather the people we deal with in the company, are my friends, as stated earlier, and they are graduates as myself. Yeah, yes. So as a team, we are on the roof. As graduates, we are on the roof. Some of the characteristics that we have as entrepreneurs, risks must be involved. Otherwise, it will be on a silver platter. Yes, and as we know, anything on a silver platter will never last. Yes, so many risks were involved. That's why we are here today. Yes, and one of the major risks I would always say is the last coin that I had was put into the startup capital of the same. Yes, I risked big for the same. Thereafter, my friends funded me on the same. I hope so they also risk, by the way, because today they will come freely and ask for loans from me. Yeah, the little loans that I have, and I will always give them. Yes, that was the major risk that I think we faced. But again, I would also say climbing the roofs are never easy. I was a height phobia person. Yes, but today where I am, there are no longer phobias of heights. Yes, I've gone to so many tall buildings, looking or inspecting on the same, so that we will be given jobs upon the same. But if I were a height phobia to date, then I'm so sure I would never feed myself in Nairobi, that is. So many risks were involved. I remember one time we were called back in Meru, and yes, we were the three of us as stated. One guy already climbed the roof using a particular ladder, and I was the second guy to climb the roof. Moving forth, when I was almost the roof, yes, the ladder slipped off. I wasn't stable by the roof, yes. I had to come back with the ladder with the same speed that the ladder was coming back with. Yes, and fortunately, we had the cabros within that compound. But unfortunately, the cabros are so hard. Yes, yes. Fortunately, we had the cabros. We never had the nails here and there, but they were the hard ones, yeah. Yes, I remember knocking myself down in a nice way, and I was praying. I was praying. I loved my grandmother so much. May she rest in peace. And I told her, grandmom, let my head not hit the cabros, yeah. So I decided to move to the cabros in a nice way, using my sitting allowance and my back, yeah. And I remember I fell with a thud, and the guy who was on top of the roof was so much quiet, because he knew my brains were all over the cabros, yeah. But now the guys who were down, when I had the third, they ran to my rescue. The moment I realized my mind is still functioning, I woke up immediately just to check whether I was broken, because I knew I would never survive that. But in a nice way, I wasn't broke, but I was shaking thoroughly because of the sudden change of environment, you know. Yes, and I was so much shaking, and I remember the guy who was on top of the roof was quiet for a moment, but when he realized I was alive, he laughed. He laughed thoroughly, and I remember we walked when that was the topic of the story. Yes, and now moving forth, there was nobody who climbs any roof without the ladder being supported for him. And those are some of the risks that we passed through. But today we are glad. Those are lessons that we learned, and we know so well. The time frame of cleaning depends on the size of the roof. Yes, the bigger the roof, the more time it takes. The shortest time I think we've ever cleaned is a day. Yes. a day. That will maybe 20 hours. No, in the normal houses that we've cleaned, it usually takes 2 to 3 days. 2 to 3 days, yes, that's a standard roof. The machine that I use is electricity operated. Yes, it uses electricity because the ones that use the petrol or diesel are never efficient. That is what we were told by the sellers of the same. They told us a day, you know, like the machine that I have will run for a day without stopping. But they tell us these other ones will always run for a few hours, then they stop automatically. You don't know where's the problem, but you have to restart it and all that. But the machine that we use works throughout the day because of all the works we've done, we've always worked throughout the day. Yes, so my machine, or rather our machine, is a perfect one. It serves us best. Poverty drives me into hard work. If I will sit in my small house there, one thing that I know is that I will sleep hungry. Yes. And you have no otherwise. You've got the machine, yes, but you have no income or whichever, the so-called money to do a few things here and there. We have to be vibrant in the social media. We have to move and strive so hard to meet most of the clients. Because one thing I know is that the roofs are so much dirty in the country. As I said, we are the pioneers of the same. And so many roofs are unwashed in the country. And we have to move with speed and accuracy to make sure that we've captured all the clients, done a good job for the same, done a good job for them. And at the end of the day, we know in a few months' time, they will call us back and tell us the wonderful job you did we need another service of the same.